Located adjacent to La Conchita and stretching behind Muscle Shoals, California, this is one of the last unique open spaces on the Central Coast. This ecosystem spans over 33 acres of native plants and animals. This landscape is conducive for both regenerative agriculture and open public hiking, horseback riding, and mountain biking. But let's shift gears and talk about something not so interesting yet, or very interesting in this land's case. Mitigation. Caltrans uses mitigation. Environmental mitigation is the process by which project proponents apply measures to avoid, minimize, or compensate for the adverse effects and environmental impacts resulting from their projects. Compensating for the impact by replacing or providing substitute resources or environments. There are ways in which Caltrans uses mitigation. Here are a few I'd like to highlight. The Endangered Species Act, conservation of endangered and threatened species and the ecosystem upon which they depend. The Coastal Zone Management Act. California has developed a coastal zone management plan and has enacted its own law, the California Coastal Act of 1976, to protect the coastline. The policies established by the California Coastal Act, they include the protection and expansion of public access and recreation, the protection, enhancement, and restoration of environmentally sensitive areas, protection of agricultural lands, the protection of scenic beauty, the facilitation of energy-producing facilities, and the protection of property and the life from coastal hazards. Native Plant Protection Act, to conserve endangered and rare native plants. Migratory Bird Treaty Act. Now, this could be planting the trees which accommodate these birds' homes. Which brings us to compensatory mitigation. Environmental resources that cannot be avoided or minimized, then compensation is required. Finalized and incorporated into final mitigation plan, which is then submitted to the agencies in the permit application. Funding and paying for mitigation. I think this is where Little Rincon Ranch comes in. Mitigation banking consists of the restoration or creation of habitat undertaken expressively for the purpose of compensating for unavoidable habitat losses, species and wetlands, in advance of development actions. Mitigation banks sell credits of compensatory mitigation for particular habitat types, generally on a per-acre basis, allowing the permittee to purchase only the necessary credit or acreage necessary to offset their impact. Moving ahead for progress, MAPS 21 states, mitigating for impacts in advance of project construction could reduce project delays and mitigation costs, and improve mitigation quality. I'd like to highlight the California Department of Transportation. Caltrans is an executive department of the U.S. state of California. Caltrans has a fiduciary duty to benefit the state of California in the best way. This includes financial, ethically, social sustainability, and in accordance with the EPA. Here's where Little Rincon comes in. We can first help by the California Initiative 30 by 30. With spectacular views of the Pacific Ocean, we believe we can have 26 acres of hiking, horseback riding, biking trails, and 7 acres of regenerative agriculture. In accordance with 2 separate land conservations, Little Rincon Ranch will have 2 easements put on the land, a farmland and an open spaces program. Under the project, the 33 acres will be divided into an agricultural conservation easement and a nature conservation easement. Many of these land uses can also earn carbon credits. 7 proposed acres under the agricultural easement will include regenerative agriculture with a U-Pick organic farm, an education center for aspiring farmers, a research facility, which includes biofuel, a tree farm, herbal medicinal gardens, and of course, a pumpkin patch with hay rides. 26 acres of the protected land easement will include lots of trails with hiking, biking, and horse trails. These would be open to the public for recreation with good accessibility to the trails. We're envisioning art spaces to create inspired by the vast, inspiring views. Native plants kept protected. Native animal species can still live in the area. While Ventura County has trails with ocean views, they're either right on the coast, directly, or a few miles away. This land is unique and like no other on the Central Coast. Most hiking on the Central Coast is now private mansions. If this land goes to auction, it's a developer's dream. Good for developers' businesses, local, seasonal construction workers. Good for the restaurants, hotels, grocery stores. Ventura taxes, Ventura revenue, California taxes, and of course the California Caltrans property sale. Yes, it does benefit many people. This area will be opened up for development. With enough motivation from developers, it will happen. But at what cost? When does the upfront monetary and fiduciary benefit outweigh the long-term impact? Development to this fragile area brings more highway traffic with increased congestion. It's not good for the environment, California's green initiatives, drainage into the ocean, plants, animals, fire management, and safety. The true measures of any society can be found in how it treats its most vulnerable. This land is one of the most vulnerable on the Central Coast. Caltrans states, Caltrans mission and goals. Caltrans mission and goals include a stewardship strategic goal. This goal aims to preserve and enhance California's resources and assets. In order to achieve the stewardship goal, Caltrans mitigates impacts of projects to achieve obligations to our natural resources. Such activities can include purchasing credits from mitigation banks or in lieu fee program, making financial contributions to habitat conservation plants, natural community conservation plans, funding the establishment of any of these mechanisms, or a regional conservation investment strategy, or performing environmental restoration. Thank you for your time, and I hope you consider what we've talked about in this video here, and consider Little Rincon Ranch for your next mitigation needs and our family operation.